In the icy shadow of the Carpathian Mountains, where myths bleed into history and the soil drinks more than just rain, a name still echoes through the centuries: Elizabeth Báthory. She was a countess, a noblewoman, a cousin to kings, but behind her crimson velvet gowns and the polished silver of her court, history says she was something else entirely: a predator, a sadist, a monster cloaked in aristocracy. Her legend would grow into whispers of blood drinking, ritual sacrifice, and cannibalism. They called her the Blood Countess. But what truly happened within the towering walls of Castle Lactus is far more terrifying than the myths ever dared to reveal. This is not a vampire tale. It's the documented, methodical descent of a woman born into privilege and madness. This is the untold horror of Elizabeth Báthory. Elizabeth Báthory was born in 1560 into one of the most powerful families in Hungary. Her bloodline traced back to kings, warriors, and governors. With influence stretching across the kingdom, the Báthory family was the elite of the elite. But even from childhood, something was wrong. Historical records and testimonies from her later trial hint at disturbing behaviors. Servants spoke of Elizabeth's childhood tantrums, where animals were tortured slowly, with precision. A stable boy was once sewn into the belly of a dying horse as punishment. This wasn't legend. It was recorded. What happens when such cruelty is left unchecked and nurtured in wealth? At 15, Elizabeth married Count Ferenc Nadasdy, a nobleman known as the Black Knight of Hungary for his brutality in battle. He taught her more than politics. Some say he introduced her to the art of torture. The couple settled in Lactus Castle, perched high on a desolate hill, surrounded by forests thick with mist. Ferenc would be away for years at war, and Elizabeth, young, isolated, already deeply disturbed, found herself in control of not just the castle, but its people. It began with punishments. A girl disobeys, she is whipped. Another speaks without permission, she's beaten. But slowly, the punishments evolved from discipline to delight. Elizabeth invited peasant girls to the castle under the pretense of employment. Many never returned. A pattern emerged. Girls between 10 and 18 vanished. Local families whispered, but who would dare accuse a countess? By her late 30s, stories had grown darker. Girls hung upside down while their blood was drained. Others forced to eat parts of their own bodies. Burnings, mutilations. One girl's jaw shattered, teeth torn out with red-hot pincers. Servants began murmuring, not outside, but between themselves. The castle became a prison. Elizabeth demanded silence, obedience, and an endless supply of young flesh. Witnesses later testified that Elizabeth bit chunks from her victims' shoulders, arms, and faces. One girl was beaten so badly, her frozen body was left in the courtyard. Overnight, a macabre statue of Elizabeth's wrath. But the Countess did not act alone. She had a network of loyal, twisted aides. Anna Darvulia, rumored to be a witch, was Elizabeth's closest companion and guide into darker rituals. Darvulia taught her necromancy, bloodletting, and human fat in potions. After Darvulia's death, the cruelty escalated. This is where legends of blood bathing begin. A servant splashed Elizabeth with blood while combing her hair. The Countess noticed her skin looked rejuvenated. Whether truth or myth, Elizabeth began draining victims not to kill, but to bathe. By the early 1600s, over 650 names were recorded in a black ledger, written in Elizabeth's hand. The victims? All girls, all peasants, all discarded. Her arrogance was her downfall. When she began targeting noble girls, daughters of minor aristocrats, whispers turned to alarms. King Matthias II ordered an investigation, but how to arrest a woman more powerful than most men in Hungary? Enter György Thurzo, Palatine of Hungary and a relative by marriage. Ordered to act discreetly, He organized a raid on December 29, 1610. Behind those castle doors, buckets of blood, dismembered bodies, living girls chained to walls, some missing limbs, others mutilated beyond recognition. The smell of death clung to cold stones. Elizabeth was arrested, but never publicly tried. Her accomplices faced torture and execution, their tongues removed to silence testimony forever. Elizabeth was walled into a small room. No doors, just a slot for food. Alone, she died 4 years later, in 1614. Consumed by the darkness she unleashed. When the final stone closed her prison, Hungary wasn't just locking away a woman, they were sealing a legacy of unthinkable cruelty. Yet, Elizabeth was never truly erased. No official autopsy, no public viewing. Some locals said she never died, that her body was smuggled out, or her death faked. Others whispered her ghost still roams Lactus, blood-soaked and screaming. Was that small room a prison, or a tomb? A woman, or monster? The Hungarian court never formally convicted Elizabeth. Her name was buried beneath sealed documents, burned testimonies, and political shame. Why? Because Elizabeth wasn't just any noble. A cousin to the King of Poland, a niece to the Prince of Transylvania, one of the largest landowners in Eastern Europe. A public trial would shatter noble credibility, expose how power protects its own, no matter the cost. So they silenced it, bricked her away. Her servants weren't so lucky. One maid, accused of cannibalism, was tortured, fingers torn off with hot pincers, before being burned alive. Yet even then, no one spoke Elizabeth's name in court. Official records call her only the Lady. But history refused to forget. By the 18th century, her story morphed into dark folklore. No longer just a killer, but a vampire, a witch, a demoness. Some linked her to Bram Stoker's Dracula, though Stoker never mentioned her, but the image stuck. A noble woman in a crumbling castle, draining innocent blood, cloaked in mystery. Folk songs, poems, macabre puppet plays turned her into legend, part horror, part morality tale. The church condemned her as a warning, a woman corrupted, seductive, evil, a symbol of feminine danger. Her sexuality demonized, her intelligence mocked, her crimes turned into theatrics. But what was the truth? Modern historians debate whether Elizabeth's crimes were fully real or a political assassination. Cloaked as justice, some argue Elizabeth was targeted, a powerful woman owning over 17 castles, dangerous in a man's world. Her rivals wanted her land, silenced her with slander. Was she cruel? Yes. But 650 victims? Bloodbaths, the Black Ledger. None survive today. Could parts be invention? Maybe the truth is darker still. Elizabeth Báthory was a sadistic killer and a pawn in a deadly game of wealth and silence. Today, Elizabeth's story is examined through gender politics, psychology, and power structures. Some suggest epilepsy caused seizures mistaken for madness. Others see deep trauma from war and executions witnessed in youth, but no explanation justifies the horror. Witnesses described rituals, sacrifices, bizarre alchemy, blood in vials for skin creams, herbs mixed with bone powder burned in fires. Villages lost their children, left without mothers or fathers. Entire generations haunted, the vanished girls erased. Elizabeth's legacy lives on. Lactus Castle still stands in Slovakia, crumbling and haunted. Locals avoid it. Tourists visit only by day. Paranormal investigators claim sounds, sightings, screams in Hungary. She's a quiet shame rarely spoken of. Yet in Gothic culture, horror, literature, movies, Elizabeth is immortal, a vampire, queen bathing in virgin blood, a misunderstood noblewoman, a feminist rebel, a mad aristocrat lost to power. Each story reflects us the time, the culture, and our attempt to understand cruelty's face. Elizabeth Báthory remains a great unsolved riddle. She was real, her victims were real. Whether dozens or hundreds, silence followed her death. Power shields, monsters, truth can be rewritten. Legends outlive flesh. Did she bathe in blood or drown in lies? A pale woman in a crimson dress, a basin of blood, a smile curved not in joy, but hunger. Perhaps on stormy nights in Lactus, if you listen closely, the screams still echo,